Right, so today we're going to take a deep dive and look at how podcasts can actually be a really great way to boost your English skills.
Yeah.
And specifically, we're looking at a source called English-immerse text for this. And, when I first saw this, I kind of thought, well, yeah, duh.
Yeah.
You listen to something in English, it's going to help your English.
Right.
But there's a lot more to it, and we're going to kind of break all that down for you today.
Yeah, it's like one of those things that seems so obvious, but when you actually get into it, it's like, oh, there's actually a method to this.
Exactly.
There's some real science behind why this works.
Yeah. So one of the things I found really interesting in the text is that, it points out that this can be a really convenient way to learn.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And that's a big thing for me.
Yeah.
I don't always have time to sit down with like a textbook or, do a formal lesson.
Yeah.
So being able to like listen to something while I'm walking the dog or, doing the dishes or even working out is really.
Yeah. And it kind of goes back to how we learn language naturally anyway, right? Like as kids, you're not sitting down with flashcards. You're just hearing it all around you constantly.
You're immersed in it.
Exactly. And podcasts can kind of recreate that immersion, especially now when you can like have them on your phone and listen wherever you go.
Yeah, and the source actually makes a really good point about that, too.
Oh, yeah.
You're getting exposed to different accents.
Oh, that's so important.
And, like, the natural flow of conversation, which is something that, I've always found a little intimidating, to be honest.
Yeah, I get that because textbook English is one thing, but, like, out in the real world, people talk so differently.
Exactly.
You've got slang regionalisms, people mumbling, all that stuff. And podcasts throw all of that at you, which is good.
Yeah, it's like trial by fire, but...
Yeah, but in a good way, like your ear gets used to all the variation.
That's like training.
Exactly, and then you're not so thrown off when you have to, like, actually talk to someone. Yeah.
Or understand someone who doesn't speak perfectly clearly.
Right, like you said, different accents, different speeds.
Exactly.
And that's going to help you become a more well-rounded communicator.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not just about listening. One of the things that English-immerse text points out is that there are podcasts on pretty much every topic imaginable.
Oh, my gosh.
Like anything you can think of.
You can find a podcast for it.
There's a podcast.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it because it takes the pressure off of learning English.
Yeah.
Instead of feeling like, okay, I have to study.
Right.
You can think about, what are you already passionate about?
What are you interested in?
What do you geek out on? And then find a podcast about that.
Exactly.
And you're learning without even realizing it.
Yeah, it's like sneaking in the veggies.
Yes.
With a delicious meal.
Exactly.
The text also talks about, like, choosing podcasts that are aligned with your interests. But what if you're into something that's kind of niche or uses really advanced vocabulary?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, I'm a big history buff, but sometimes I feel like I get lost in the terminology.
Yeah, I could see that.
So how do you strike that balance between, like, something you're passionate about, but also something that's not going to go totally over your head?
I think it's about starting slow. Like maybe look for a podcast that's specifically designed for learners who are interested in history.
Oh, okay.
Or even just a podcast that explains things in a really clear and simple way.
Right.
And as your vocabulary grows, you can kind of graduate to those more complex podcasts.
And the text also talks about taking it a step further by actively engaging with the material, like not just passively listening.
Oh, yeah, that's key.
So things like repeating phrases, summarizing what you've heard, even like shadowing the speaker.
Shadowing is amazing.
It's like having a built-in conversation partner.
Exactly, like they're giving you the material and you're practicing using it.
And it really helps to cement those new words and phrases in your mind.
Absolutely, because you're not just hearing them, you're actually saying them.
And the source even gives us a few podcasts to get started with.
Oh, that's awesome. What are they?
So they recommend one. They don't name it specifically, but they say it's really good for learning vocabulary and grammar.
Okay, so good for the basics.
Yeah. And then there's The English We Speak.
Oh, I love that one.
Which is all about everyday idioms and phrases.
Yes. Those are the things that make you sound like a native speaker.
Exactly.
It's not just about knowing the words, it's about knowing how to use them.
Right. And then there's BBC Learning English, which is great for news and discussions.
Oh, cool. So you can stay up to date and improve your English at the same time?
Exactly. And it's all presented at a pace that's a little easier for learners to follow.
I love that they have that variety, something for everyone.
Yeah, so I think the big takeaway here is that podcasts are a really powerful tool for language learning.
Definitely.
It's accessible, it's convenient, it's engaging.
And it's fun. Don't forget fun.
Right. You can learn about things that you're already passionate about. And, it doesn't have to feel like work.
So I guess the question is, what kind of podcasts are you going to try?
Yeah, think about what you're interested in and go from there.
And remember, there's no right or wrong answer. It's all about finding what works for you.
Exactly. And if you want to learn more about this specific podcast that we talked about today, you can find all that information in our show notes.
Awesome.
Happy listening.
Happy listening.
We'll catch you next time.
See ya.